Darksomnium.
It's said that evil prevails when good men do nothing. Those were once words that comforted me. I don't know how much time I have left. All I know is that, in the face of uncertainty, an even greater fear exists in knowing that I alone shoulder the weight of knowing the truth. I'd like to tell you that these words come from a place of analytical stillness, instead of the harsh reality that scares me beyond words. Now, the fear that plagues me is very real, justified by earth-shaking implications that accompany its looming presence. My posting here is not out of choice, but desperation. I can only hope that when reading this, you'll be able to avoid any preconceived notions of judgment and see my words for exactly what they're intended to be. A warning. I've spent the last few years browsing the deep web. It would be a search that extended across countless hours, searching an accumulated hive of non-indexed onion URLs. What started as harmless entertainment became a daily obsession. In many ways, I felt like a digital explorer navigating some strange new world. I wish someone had told me what I'm about to tell you. If I'd been swayed away, maybe I'd still be existing within something that resembled a normal life. Unfortunately, it would be my own sense of adventure that inevitably led me to them. I could tell right away that this was a page unlike anything I'd ever seen. The entire background was a collage of strange geometry and what I can only describe as hieroglyphics. After scrolling down, a series of words became visible. You have been chosen. You have always been awake. Seek and it shall be found. Nothing will be achieved without time and tenacity. Question, and it shall be earned. Look, listen, learn, brothers and sisters. Continue your search. Beyond the writing would be 3 downloadable files. Each of the files' names carried the same cryptic nature as the phrases. File 1, the message is coming. File 2, the form is eternal. File 3, the end occurred. I downloaded all 3. They turned out to be WAV files. I extracted and played out each one in the order that they were listed. The sounds consisted of loud static, only a few seconds worth. What I found strange was that for audio files that only played within a burst of seconds, they were abnormally large, considering the minimal content. After trying for a few hours to unlock any hidden secrets that the files may have contained, I'd eventually give up on the venture altogether. 2 weeks later, the headache began. It was during those early phases that I wrote, said paying off as acquired stress. I've suffered from chronic migraines for the better part of my 20s. This migraine would be different than the others. It lasted beyond the span of 4 days, escalating from tolerable to debilitating. This affliction reached its peak after I forced myself to go to work, after exhausting all of my sick days. I'd been there for only a few hours. When everything began spinning, after hitting the peak of nausea, I blacked out. When I came to, I was laying in the hospital bed. During the chaos, one of my coworkers brought me to the ER. Aside from the sudden shock of waking up in a foreign space, I could instantly notice that the pain had disappeared. But before I could relish in the newfound resolve, I heard something in the back of my head. A voice. Cold and detached. The speech patterns could have almost been mechanical. As I laid there in the hospital room, the disembodied voice would proceed to explain who and what it was. It called itself Messenger. It told me that it resembled what humans referred to as a satellite. It was sent to Earth thousands of years ago, orbiting the planet in a state of suspended animation. It was explained that the beings who created this messenger were eons more advanced than Homo sapiens. The creators built thousands like the messenger, galactically spreading them across vast distances. Their first directive would be to both identify and rendezvous with any planet carrying the potential for sentient life. It waited for us to grow, for us to evolve. The messenger reactivated itself in 2005. By then, the government of the world had become aware of the messenger's existence through various missions beyond Earth's atmosphere. The object would go on to be codenamed Black Knight. Once multiple communication attempts yielded radio silence, the governments of the world disavowed the messenger as an unexplainable anomaly. In the spring of 2006, NASA would receive a coded transmission from the messenger, signaling that the once dormant orbital had finally become active. This transmission would be studied for years to come, only furthering the frustration shared by dozens of the world's most intelligent minds. It was during this time that a government employee would upload this transmission to the deep web. The reasoning behind the security leak was to alert the public of such a discovery. This would also give civilians the ability to study the transmission, possibly uncovering something that even the best and brightest missed. In reality, this coded transmission was never intended to be a communication attempt. Instead, the transmission carried a low, almost non-existent frequency. The purpose behind such a thing would be to stimulate small sections of growth within the human brain. This evolutionary leap would allow said human to communicate directly with the messenger. The frequency would only be compatible with an extremely small segment of the population, a minority that I now include myself in. Once the initial formalities had been covered, the messenger would then explain in perfect detail what its secondary directive consisted of. I could feel my insides tightening as the messenger articulated the will of its creators. This alien civilization, wherever they are, sent these probes out to access planets that contained sentient species, life forms that carried the potential for social growth, for development that could lead these species to venture outside of their own solar system. The creators' genocidal plan suddenly became crystal clear, frighteningly so, in fact. They never intended to share the galaxy with anyone. The existence of sentience across the cosmos only presented a threat to these aliens. The messenger, and those like it, would be tasked with providing the horrifying catalyst that would eventually lead to a species-wide extinction event. Humans would finally become eligible for their own annihilation. I tried to resist, to fight, only to discover that the messenger had the ability to take full control over my body. In the days that followed, I'd become privy to a stark new certainty. I had become a prisoner in my own head. For weeks, I'd go through a series of blackouts, only to awake with little to no knowledge of the events that would transpire beforehand. The only time I'm allowed to regain control is when the messenger is forced to break contact with me. These lapses in communication never last more than a few hours. The obscure echoes that I hear in my head tell me that it has something to do with the Earth's rotation, but I'm not sure really. I've only been able to gather fragments from these bodily invasions. The messenger has been actively laying the groundwork for the event that will wipe humans from the face of the planet. The messenger has shown great interest in one particular location. This place is called the National Quiet Zone. The large stretch of land is home to the Green Bank, this massive radio telescope. I've been unable to pull specifics. All I know is that the messenger plans on utilizing the telescope's powerful transmission capabilities, all of it leading to something that I've heard repeated countlessly, something called Broadcast Day. I'm writing this during the lapse in my connection with the messenger. Very soon it will regain control over me. I'll continue to fight for as long as I have the will to resist. While that may sound heroic, I'll never be able to ignore the gathering abyss now visible on our horizon. I don't know what Broadcast Day is, and to be honest, I think there's a part of me that doesn't want to know. The Broadcast Day could be tomorrow, it could be a year from now. I don't have all the answers. All I can do is tell you to enjoy this little precious time that you have left. Be with those closest to you. Take this time to develop a true appreciation for this gift that we take for granted. The gift of life. That same spark that guided us from single-celled organisms to the complex miracle of biology that we are today. Be proud of what you've accomplished as an individual. Be proud of what we've accomplished as a species. This is how the world ends, not with a whimper, not with a bang. The world will end with ominous silence. I envy the rest of the world. they'll never have to bear the burden knowing what comes next, knowing that these are our final hours, that our flame still burns in the universe. I know what comes next. I also know there's a good chance that I'll be unable to stop it. It's said that evil prevails when good men do nothing. Those were once words that comforted me. Now, I find them synonymous with dread. Hello. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know what you thought of this video, and what types of videos you'd like to see in the future. Have a good night.